All right, like someone better turn this story into a movie because this is hilarious. Anyways, I understand as above, so below now. So as above, so below is all about the battery. Okay, it's understanding the reservoir of water. It's understanding that first of all, you live in a cell. You gotta come to grips with that, and then you have to understand that your cell has a fishbowl inside that's being pierced 14 times, but maintains the volume of water via a very challenging engineering feat, I would imagine, involving 3D printing of icosahedrons and different little things to whatever to hold off the splash off of the water as it's trying to escape the holes where the axles are coming in, because it has to be turning fast enough. But where does the water go? It goes into a dodecahedron that somehow, again, like you gotta have volcanoes, okay? So like the axle will come up through the hole here. So when it's spinning, it'll shoot the water off. But as long as when it drips out of the icosahedron into the dodecahedron with the testicles at the bottom, water will want to go down to the lowest spots and stay away from the top. So anyways, all that crap. So all it means is that your reservoir of your dodecahedron, or your icosahedron in fact, is actually going to be 6/7 filled with water. Meaning that the floaty bits that are in the water are necessary for life to grow because you need dry land. You're not going to create energy without dry land for the consciousness. Well, I mean, you can always create like marine life, but wouldn't it be more interesting to create like land civilizations in your sim city of your galaxy that you're creating, your battery, that a child could create in like high school? Okay, so as above, so below. Because you're using the 5 platonic solids, you're using the sacred divine symmetry, you're using, you're breaking everything down to dots and lines in a way that should create a heart field. Now, this heart field might have the power to create as above, so below. Meaning, the dirt that's in the water that circles around the top, because you have 5 axles penetrating from the air into the water, so you're going to have 5 swirly jets, okay? Look at your United Nations map, okay? What happens if you have a reservoir filled 6/7 with water and there's floaty bits at the top, and you have a bunch of axles spinning? I'm going to assume the floaty bits are going to start to swirl, and they're going to come together, move apart, yada, yada, yada. Now, what if, as above, so below, means the power of this device, other than create, like, in order to create life, you need to create conscious beings that can create more batteries. So you need to have land. You need to have dry land. Because I don't see fish creating these, unless fish can create these somehow. Under the water. Or, you know? So, or even it's just minerals. Lemuria was an island, meaning that if you only put, oh my god, there it is. If you only put water in, there's still minerals in there, and if it swirls long enough, maybe all the minerals will collect and eventually make like a little tiny island of dry land where like an advanced civilization can build a battery to continue the energy. So it's all about creating your own batteries. It's all about creating a teeny verse inside the mini-verse, inside the microverse. Okay? As above, so below might mean that the crud that falls down via the eddy currents of the 14 axles that combines in the central bubble under the sea, like under the 6/7 of water, there'll be a bubble of air being formed by all the different little tiny bubbles of all the axles, yada, yada, yada. All the crud that goes down is going to be on the walls of the bubble. Now, what if, as above, so below means that the crud above us, on the top UN floaty part, is actually mirrored on the walls of the bubble under the sea. Okay? That's wild, guy. Okay? Which means that to us, if we live in the bubble, Austin Lee Meredith would live on the top crud, which means obviously he has a creator from outside the hole, where the light comes in. It's an N+3 reality. Maybe I've had it wrong the whole time. But anyway, so that's really cool. Now, if you... That's an interesting hypothesis, if anything. Backed by math. Now, it's interesting that down here there's actually a very faint orange. My orange marker's dead, but there's a 1/6 that's created on the 5th day. And this is where simple gets converted to English, but you have to take all the values of the characters in simple gematria and multiply them by 6 to get the equivalent. And the chakras, the 7 in the flesh and the 5 outside the flesh, maybe that's the 12, but the +1 and the +1 are just a unification of an entity and another entity. It's the fly-spec math between the G and the D. You're uniting a 7 with the 4. 5, really. But, you know, micro. Okay, this G is just the top of a one-dimensional line. It's just the tip. It's the tip of the iceberg, guy. It's 4 by 4. So yeah, as above, so below. What happens in the central bubble is the same as what happens on the floaty bits in the 7 by 7 space filled 6/7 in a container of a 9 by 9 in a battery, guy. Inside your dodecahedron, which is a 5 by 5 by 5 in there, which is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get all the way to 17. Well, not all the way to 17, but 5 by 5 by 5. Or, well, 1, there, whatever. Out of the plane. Heaven line to the new heaven. New heaven, complete, guy. Complete is 76. Complete is 13. It's secular. It's repeating. It's an infinite pattern. It's an infinite pattern, guy. It's a fly speck. It's an infinite pattern. As above, so below. And then out the hole. Wild. So if you were to build these, basically based on your construction and your symmetry and everything, I guess that would make it either spin slower or faster. And if it spins slower, that just means more time and more time would have to pass for the consciousness inside your battery to evolve to the point where they can create energy. And when you start to get energy out of your battery, that means that your civilization has also created energy. And isn't that like a warming, heartfelt moment when to you it could be like a couple of minutes or seconds or days or hours or whatever? And all of a sudden you're powering like a whole neighborhood, and you know that there's a consciousness created in the battery based on the geometry, based on your accuracy of this table, the time it takes to create the energy. Like, you can probably make this out of like weird stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be like super highly precisely engineered, but since we have the technology to super precisely engineer it, we might as well. Which is not my speciality. Other people do this for a living. Those are the people we need to talk to about fabrication of this. You need to talk to professionals. This is a professional project, okay? I'm the idea guy. I'm always the idea guy. In every other job I've had, I'm the idea guy. I have the ideas. I have an idea of how to get to the end result, but it's not always the best path, so I don't want to waste time. Okay, it's Horton Here's the Who guy. We've named our creator, okay, in essence, and we understand the knowledge based on the words and the math and the history and all the examples that are around us all the time. So, as above, so below. Perfect symmetry, okay, is needed to contain a black hole. That is what it means to be holy. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Guy, Austin Lee Meredith, Kevin Janik, black hole in a battery. I don't know. I'm not the first person to have done this, obviously. Make this realization. Wake up. There are a lot of depictions of creation everywhere. And I'm sure that when these people made the connections and they were decoding their lives, they thought they were Jesus Christ. And they thought that everything was like, this is their bubble, and this is like, I'm God here. But you're not God. You're man. Everything else is God. That's the way you gotta see. You gotta, the glass is half full. Okay? It's more than half full. Anyway, as above, so below. So like even the volume of these dodecahedrons and icosahedrons have to be like on this board somewhere. So like not only do you have to model it in 3D, you have to be able to calculate, or I don't know, maybe there's an equation on how to calculate volume of a dodecahedron based on the size of the pentagrams. And the same for an icosahedron, yada yada yada, right? So like these equations have to exist. And it seems pretty simple, like, in fact. But like I'm not there yet. Like when we get people that are like believe in Horton, because there's an elephant in the room, guy. Okay? There's a giant elephant in the room of life. And if you can't see it, you know, it's like Harvey with Jimmy Stewart. He can see a big, like 6'5" rabbit who's talking to God. Okay? Horton hears a who? He hears an elephant who's talking to God. He hears I don't hear anything. I hear a pattern. I see a pattern created by man. I think it's educational. I think they want us to know this. I think they want us to wake up. I think, but like it's so evil, but it's necessary evil. Okay, like in the Man of Steel, in the DVD, the previews before it, they have a preview for like something like DC comic history of villains or like Necessary Evil. It's like a documentary. It's called like Necessary Evil about DC comic villains. Like they're necessary evil, but they're not evil. But they like indirectly, they're not actually being evil. They're making us be evil for them. Or I like they're not pious because they trick, right? And it's like they say in the comic books, the villain only has to win once, but the superhero always needs to win, right? It's backwards, okay? Like right now, the villain is always winning. But the Superman only has to win once. Convince themselves, guy. You need to convince yourself of this new paradigm, this paradigm shift, that you live in a battery. That I think I just defined as above, so below, because of an electromagnetic heart field created and how it reacts with sediment in a type of water filled with minerals in a cellular energy device, and how the floaty bits of swirl on the top of the reservoir, which is 6/7 filled, will cellularly be equivalent inside the bubble, because it's an infinite system. It's a vacuum. It's a pressurized system. You've created space, guy. You've created the waters. The waters above and the waters below. I mean, there's waters in an icosahedron, waters in a dodecahedron. As above, so below. The bubble or the land on the top of the reservoir. A layer to divide the waters from the waters, guy. Wow. Alright, so, like, decoded the Bible 101, check. Came up with, like, power calculations and actual kind of, like, starting math schematics on that battery, check. I deciphered simple and more or less Jewish and more or less English gematria and their origins, check. Understand the use of gematria and the power of speaking in truth, check. Oh, like I'd be a really good spy or something, like secret agent guy, because like pattern recognition, I don't know, it's off the hook, but I'm not. So anyways, I have like a useless skill, it seems, but it's not useless. It should be like used. But holy moly, you're a 1 guy. You're just like a 1. It can be anything, and you gotta know that. You're 12s of 14, and all this, and this. We're stuck on here, guy. We're stuck on this one. We're stuck on 1 of 6 of 8 of 91 of 712. We're stuck here. We need to pass that. Okay. Time had to pass this because I guess this is the way they built the machine. These are basically the basically time derived from our constellations and our celestial spheres created this indirectly. And think about that for a while.